Good morning. My name is Michael Smith, and this is my life. And today it's Tuesday, August 15th of 2017. Yesterday was one of those days that was kind of unique. I'll say that as a yeah. I like to use the word unique instead of saying, "Oh gosh, it was horrible." No, yesterday wasn't horrible. I went to work yesterday, and I don't know. There's just certain things about my day that's kind of dragging me down, and there's uncertainty at work. So it's like it's one of those. It's kind of like, oh, they say there's that saying, out of the frying pan and into the fire, and sometimes I feel like I know I'm jumping into the fire out of the frying pan. It's like, oh, it reminds me when I was in my 20s. I ended up with two kittens. I didn't really want them, but I ended up with them. And they were really, really little. They were taken away from their mother probably far too early. I won't go into how I ended up with them, but whatever. Anyway, I had this big chair. It was actually like a big chair slash the small love seat, and I'd be sitting on this chair listening to the radio, and the kittens would be up there with me, and they would decide that they would want down, and they would go up to the edge, and they would look down, and they'd look back, and they'd look down, and they'd look back, and it was just like you could tell they're like, I want down, but that's too far, and you could almost see them. They would like scrunch up their face, and they would just roll off the edge. That's kind of how I felt going to work yesterday. I saw a coworker of mine who I like get escorted off the plant grounds yesterday. Hopefully it's temporary. It's not permanent. I don't know the details. I don't need to know the details. He's a good guy, and I pray and hope that he's doing well, and that he'll be back and everything will be okay. Wow, I got like a nasty phlegm frog in my throat, and I don't know why. I don't feel sick, but yesterday I just had that bouncing around in my head, and we're all kind of a team at work, and we have our big plant-wide shutdown coming up, so like we all work together, and so it's like I'm thinking, hopefully he comes back. If he doesn't, how's this going to affect work and everything else? And because when something happens to one of us, it really kind of in a way happens to all of us. And so then after work, I had to stop by, and for my church, I'm parish council president this year, and it's not really something that I wanted. I didn't even want to be on the council. I'll never forget it. My wife was like, "Do you want to be on?" She hollered at me. She's like, "Do you want to be on the parish council?" And I was like, "Well, yeah. If they need help and they ask me, I'll do it." It turned out somebody was on the phone wanting to know if I wanted to be nominated. And so that parlayed me into getting on the parish council, which, was okay. And there were a few meetings I couldn't make it to because family stuff or whatever, but, I was there. And it's pretty simple stuff. It's one thing to be just on the parish council as opposed to running it. And then, the term came up, and the parish council president, his term was up, so he was stepping down, and no one else wanted to do it. And I actually had someone literally grab my arm when they asked for volunteers, grab my arm and throw it up in the air. And it wasn't really something I wanted to do, but I just smiled, and I was like, okay, that's cool. My parish needs me. I'm going to step up and help. It's kind of like when I got asked to teach Sunday school. Never thought of myself as a teacher, but I kind of see that as God calling me in my life. And so as parish council president, one of the big things on our agenda that's going to come up really fast is we have a turkey dinner every year. It's a fundraiser for our church and allows us to open our doors up to our church. And we need somebody to run it because the guy who has been running it for like the last 10 years or so or whatever is stepping down. And I think this year is his last year running it. So basically he's passing the torch. And he's taken it and he's refined it. And it sounds like he's made it really easy. But so far everybody I've talked to about running it doesn't want to do it. And I'm just really scared I'm going to end up running it. And it's not so much that I don't want to run it, it's just that I don't want to run it and do it badly, I guess, And I'm wondering if that's why nobody wants to run it, is just the anticipation of it being horrible. I was talking to Father at church at his office yesterday about it and trying to figure out a game plan for, things we want to focus on this coming year in the parish council. And he's like, well, it's really 3 weeks of focus of just, running it, whatever. And I don't know. I guess I'll do it, but if I have to. But with everything else going on, the parish council and the teaching the class and my kids at home and the daycare at home and then work and I don't know. It probably won't be so bad after the shutdown's over and we get back to normal or whatever normal is at that time. I find that a lot though. It's like a lot of times things really aren't as bad as they are. It's just the anticipation. That is like, I see people broken down on the side of the road, or I see cars on the side of the road, and there's always this thought of like, oh, I should stop and help them, but they always, you hear rumors about like, oh, don't pull over and help anybody because they could just be faking it and they're gonna kidnap you and whatever, and chop your body up into a million parts and scatter you across the United States at rest stops, and then I think, can't believe that. And then, lo and behold, Sunday, here I was broken down on the side of the road, people driving by, not stopping, till I was fixed. And, and I got through it, it was okay. But it was like just the idea of being broke down on the side of the road, just feel like, oh man, that would totally suck. And then when it happens, it's like, well, here I am in the moment. It's the anticipation, I think, that is actually worse than the actual event. So I don't know. I have been praying, that God endow me with whatever I need to make it through this year being parish council president, and if I, help me to resolve this turkey dinner issue. It's because in the grand scheme of things, there's probably going to be things a lot more interesting. A lot more interesting / difficult this year that go on. So I don't know. I'm just glad I got Jesus in my life because I got him to talk to, and he helps guide me through things. I read my Bible every day and stuff, and I pray every day. And if I didn't have that, man, I'd probably be a nervous wreck. It's just so much. I was watching the news last night. I usually don't like to watch the news, but I was watching the news, and there's this thing where people, white supremacists, or like, I guess, ran down some protesters. There's this racial division. It seems to be going deeper because people don't connect and communicate and love. There's this whole thing with North Korea going on, and people are worried about another, war and whatever else, and it's just, oh my gosh, all this just ick. That's what I call it, ick. There's just so much ick out in the world. And it seems like it's largely due to a lack of focus of loving. I don't know. I mean, I know that's truly like a hippie, simplistic way to look at it, but, if you would read your gospel and take Jesus' teachings to heart, and everybody did that, whether that's a whole other conversation, believing Jesus was who he says he was, but you know, just looking at his teachings. If you said, okay, if I'm gonna shelve the whole idea of Jesus for a later date, and I'm just gonna look at literally what he did and what he taught during the 3 years of his ministry on this earth. If people were to follow that, the world would be such a much better place. You know, you know, as far as who Jesus was and why I believe who he said he was, you know, I could spend, you know, probably a couple hours talking about that. Because the more I study and the deeper I go and the different places I look and study and pray and whatever, and things are revealed, it's just, yeah, it becomes more and more certain for me. Even though I don't have, you know, a document or a plaque or anything that says Jesus was the Son of God, you know. Yeah, this is solid proof right here. You know, Jesus was the Son of God. I don't need that, you know, because the truth rings through the study and the prayer and my personal experience, which also then dovetails back into, and it's just, it builds upon itself, I guess. I don't know. Love. Go out into the world and love somebody today. Help somebody on the side of the road. When somebody asks you to volunteer for a turkey dinner, say yes. That's all I gotta say about that.